Talks, Gaming and Atheism. Today I'm going back to the game Steep, because I said in an earlier video this game is a very calming game. It's no conflicts. It's just a game that basically you can just talk and enjoy yourself. Today I'm going to talk again about how I became an atheist and why it's okay to come out as an atheist. Bear with me as we load. It's such a beautiful game. So, the reason why I'm talking about this again is because I find it funny. And I'm stuck again. The reason why I find this so funny that, you know, a lot of people have a problem with the idea of atheism is because they want to throw out the word that we're a cult. But we have no dogma that pushes us to say, you know, you have to believe the same way we do. Because not all atheists think the same, if you think about it. Some of us are liberal. Some of us are very right-wing. Some of us are pro-choice. And some of us are not. So I always kind of wonder how in the world people come to the conclusion that, you know, all atheists have to be the same, because we're not. It's strange. And kind of sad at the same time, because I think to the extent these people are kind of throwing that word around and saying that we're the ones being caught, when they do know and kind of accept in their own mind that they're the ones kind of a part of the cult. You know what I mean? Sad then. I almost died there. And you know, it comes down to this. Your dogma, as well as your uniformity, is usually what is usually considered a cult. If I tell you, you have to believe that the sun is pink, and every single body within my group believes that the sun is pink, that right there is the uniformity that I'm looking for when I claim that somebody is in a cult. Or that we're the true chosen people, you are not, and that if you say otherwise, you are persecuting my group of people. Now don't get me wrong, I have no problem with religion. And this is true. I have no problem with an idea of people being religious. I have a problem with the fact that they really do want to believe that they're the only ones. They don't accept, or they don't want to truly see that there are other people just like them. Like, I live in Maryland. For some people who may be interested in, you know, the things that I see, the things that I come to learn. And I go to a place out in West Virginia, and a lot of those people like to put on Fox News. Now, I have no problem, like I said, with right or left, but I do have a problem when these same exact people want to scream they hate people who practice Islam, but they themselves have never met anyone who's ever actually practiced Islam in front of them. They've never met these people. They only see what they hear on the news. And that's usually about groups like ISIS and stuff like that. And then they want to scream, you know, it's going to be a religious war and stuff like that. And I met a guy who claims, you know, he stands with Israel. You know, I have no problem with that. I think a lot of people should stand with Israel. But I do have a problem with the fact that he's thinking that all Muslims are the same. And he himself has never met a Muslim. You cannot do that. And I really do believe it has something to do with people are not used to change. And I think that's why people are not used to the idea of atheism. Because we live in a country which is fully religious, or what people want to believe is a fully religious country, when they don't understand that, you know, that there's a such thing as the separation of church and state, that, you know, atheism has always been kind of a thing, but it's a lot bigger now that a lot of people are becoming more self-conscious of the world that we live in. You know what, I'm going to stop for a minute so I can give you guys an idea of a minute. We live in a world at this very moment where if you turn on your TV, you can see the whole world. Think about when your grandparents were in their 20s. The world was so closed off. You have to think about it. 60, 70 years ago, World War II happened. Japan was a closed off nation. And because it was a closed off nation, a lot of people didn't know what was going on with that country. And it's the same now with the rest of the world. A lot of people didn't pay attention to world views and stuff like that like we do today. We're starting to learn that certain parts of the world, such as like Britain, Japan, really all of Asia, are very secular. Sweden, Finland, very secular countries. And it's unbelievable that the United States seems to have fallen back into an old mindset. And like I said, I don't want to get too political, but when the whole Make America Great thing was this whole big thing, people want to forget that in the 60s, that was a statement that was made when the civil rights was happening. Make America Great Again was basically meaning make America white again. But that has nothing to do with atheism, or so you think. It has a lot to do with atheism when you think about it, because it's the same thinking that Christians have with atheists. Make America Christian again. You can't do that. Just like you truly can't make America white again when America is basically white. You know what I mean? Actually, America is such a melting pot, it's unbelievable that we have people in the United States that think that way. Just like you have people in the United States that think America is a Christian country, yet it's a very secular country full of different religions and cultures. You cannot have these thoughts. And if you do, I mean, they are your opinions, but you have to come to a point in your life where you do walk out your door and you see people of different races and different creeds, and you can't just hate them because maybe that one person who maybe share a different creed from you or different religious views from you is your doctor. And a lot of people might not notice this, but a lot of doctors that I've had are usually Arabs. They're from Saudi Arabia. They're from Kuwait. They're from all these places that happen to be Muslim. And it shocks me that we live in the United States where we're starting to have this hatred towards a group of people, and the people who have this hatred towards these people don't even know these people. And speaking of the guy that I know, he's telling me that, there are a bunch of Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan. They're issuing Sharia law. I have never been to Dearborn, Michigan, and if anyone has, I would like to know if this is true. Like, I want to know if anybody lives in Michigan, is this actually true? Because I find that really stupid, if that is the case. Because I get it. Islam is that kind of religion where if you don't convert, die. But that's not all Muslims. We know this. That's like saying every single Christian sect rapes children. And it isn't. The same thing with Christianity or Judaism. Because even Judaism has different sects of Judaism. It's the same thing with Islam. There are different groups. Because not every single person is going to be like, well, this is what I believe is the right way. And it be the same. You know what I mean? What is the word I hear Christians say? I interpret the Bible this way. What makes you think Islam isn't interpreted a certain way? You know? That's nonsense. But back to some snowboarding, right? I mean, that's why, you know, this is a gaming channel and all, but I'm just saying, I find that utterly shocking. You know, I'm really not surprised that people think that way, though. But one of these days, I think it's going to come full circle. And those same exact people who think that way are going to end up, you know, meeting those exact same people that they supposedly hate. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to be highly surprised. Because those people are going to think just like them. You have fundamentalist Muslims, and you have fundamentalist Christians, you have fundamentalist Jews. I wouldn't even be surprised if they're fundamentalist Buddhists, you know? So, I mean, I think we really need to stop with the hatred of religion. And I died, somehow. But I think we have to stop the whole idea of we think we know something just because we see it on the news. And I remember like a long time ago, before I truly became an atheist, Fox News had this whole thing where they talked about a guy, no, they talked with a guy who was an atheist because of the whole billboard that was in Georgia, I believe. And it was like, you know, it was about Santa Claus. You know, speaking of Fox News and Santa Claus and atheism, a long time ago, is her name Kelly some shit? I can't remember her name. I can't believe she's now on MSNBC, but when she was on Fox News, she pulled the most dumbest shit one day. She was telling people that, you know, people shouldn't be telling kids that Santa Claus looks like them. And I'm like, well, Santa Claus doesn't exist, so I mean, why the hell are we talking about Santa Claus? Now, if we're talking about St. Nicholas, that's one thing. But no, they were talking about Santa Claus, big fat man in the red clothes. And she's like, well, you know, you can't tell these children, these black kids or whatever, that Santa Claus is black. And I'm sitting there like, well, you can't tell people Santa Claus is real. You know, it's shit like that when you live in the United States, you have to kind of wonder, is everything that's being said on these news channels propaganda? You know, I'll bring up some more stuff. I watched an episode of Oprah earlier today. an older episode to be exact. And in the episode, she brought some atheists. It was like an early 90s episode on AM Chicago. And I was watching it, and I couldn't believe the way Oprah handled the conversation. She showed her bias, you know? She didn't have a real journalistic view on the conversation. And the atheists there held their own, you know? And I was really proud of them. Because the way the conversation went, it was almost like she thought she won. And I'm like, it's not even anything you won, because having an opinion is your opinion. And my opinion is that I don't believe in God. Or their opinion was that they don't believe in God, but she's like, you know, fuck you, basically. You're an idiot. She was like, I've been to Ohio, and I've seen the mountains and the trees and the sky, so how can you not believe in God? Which, everyone's heard that argument, alright? That's not even an argument, because I'm going to give you guys a funny argument. So you know how they say the Bible is the best example of God being real, but we call it fiction? This video game that I'm playing, right, is fiction, but it's based on real places. These trees, that sky, those mountains, that man, this game is real, you know, because I can see it. And you know what? Everybody else sees it, and everybody else plays this game. It's the same shit to me. But I feel like I've been on this too long, and you know what? I'm going to cut this video a little short. So this has been Visual Shock, Gaming and Atheism. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.